mount set up so you can get kind of an idea here. What we did, these are carbon fiber tubes, so I've just cut to the length. Those go right in here. I've notched out the sticks, the top end of the sticks, so they sit in that track. Here's the bottom ones, and they've been notched out as well. And so that's kind of what it looks like. You want to make sure you pre-drill your holes for your stick mount motor. That's really important. It'd be kind of hard to drill it from this side. So what I'll do, I'll go ahead and glue these in. And getting this all balanced and set up right takes a little bit of time. So, you know, airplanes are something to make you appreciate your time. You have to be really patient with what you're doing. So just, you know, don't be afraid to take your time to get it all flushed and nice and set up. So we'll go ahead and glue that in place and see. We've got it all put together pretty much. We've got the batteries cut in place, the radio, 2-speed controllers, we've got our power wire ran, we've got our motors ran through. I've got my 2 servos like this. I still got to run them to the speed controller, or to the radio, sorry. What I like to do, I like to do my own wiring. Just, I'll cut this like that, and then I'll run it to the exact length that I need it. And you can buy this stuff at any hobby store in 100-foot lengths. So I like to do that. That makes it a lot easier. So that way you're at the exact size as you're putting this together. But we've mounted our motors. We've filled in this piece here. We've balanced our motors, made sure they're square, made sure they're true. What we're going to do next is do our servos, solder those on. I'll show you how to do some soldering here. And then we'll wrap it, do our ailerons in the back, and our horns, connect them to our servos, and we'll go out and do a test flight. So we've taken just our standard balsa. We've just measured out where we need it. I think this is an 1/8" balsa. Just take your straight edge, draw a line on it, and then just use your razor and cut it. You want to leave yourself a little bit of play on both sides. I like to always cut a little bit bigger, then that way I can kind of sand it down so that it's perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and start on that, and I'll also come back and we'll solder on those, the wiring that I was telling you about. So we'll do that here in a couple minutes, and then we'll start doing laying our monocoat over this with a heat gun as well. So that's the first step right there. Okay, we're going to go ahead and start soldering on our new extensions here. We're just going to cut this right here, and by cutting that, then we're just going to add as much wire as we need in its place, and then we'll just plug it in over here to the radio. I use a Weldler soldering kit, and it's over there. You can see it's got a tempered gauge, so I can decide how much I want. We're going to be probably on, I would say, about 2, just because it's such thin wire. So we'll go ahead and cut this and get it all set up, and then we'll video as we're soldering here. So we'll just let us get set up here for a few minutes. Okay, a couple things we're going to need to do this soldering here. So we've got a razor blade, a little exacto knife, some wire cutters, needle nose, some scissors, wire strippers. You want your, I like to have my soldering stuff set up right before I start. So I want to make sure you have your heat shrink tubing, make sure you have flux, very important. A sponge to clean in between each joint. You're going to need to clean your soldering iron, very important. Little torch for your heat shrink tubing, or a lighter, whichever one you prefer, and some heat shrink tubing. What I've done is I've just basically got everything kind of set in place here, so we'll go ahead and start this, and I'll show you how to do it. Go ahead and show you the last one. It's really hard to see with this small wire, so hopefully you're not seeing all just fingers, but anyway, just twist your wire best you can, because with this, I think it's like a 22 gauge wire. It's very hard to work with, as opposed to maybe a speed controller wire, or your battery wires are a lot more bigger wire. Anyway, always clean your soldering iron with just a little wet sponge is what I use. Works really good. After you've twisted your wire together, just dip it right in the rosin core flux. Very important to make sure you use flux on every joint. What the flux does is it actually cleans the joint. What you want to do is make sure you have a clean joint. It's like making sure that it's lubricated as it's soldering and bleeding that new solder into your wire. So basically take your rosin core flux, apply that first, rosin core soldering, and then take it, and when it starts to smoke, that means it's getting hot, and just a real fast tin and pull it away. Don't tweak it, don't turn it, don't move it, just let it sit and cool on its own. It's important not to blow on it. When you blow on it, what happens is you'll actually take the temper away from the joint. So let it cool on its own and pull your wire back like this, and that enough. Always make sure you put your tubing on first. I don't know how many times I've connected that up and realized I don't have no heat shrink tubing on there, and you can't do anything but take it back off. So then just take your lighter and heat it back up, shrink that back down, and if you did it right, you should be pretty close to right where it needs to be. We're getting really close now. We've got all the electronics wired in. We just did our servos. We did the extensions and soldered those in, ran those up and into our radio here. We've got a scale there so we can kind of see how much our plane weighs. Our next step is going to be to put these flaps on. We're going to run the servo horns and the tubes, the rods to get those in place, and we're going to monocoat those. That's going to be the next step. But I want to show you how much our plane weighs. This current time, right now we are a pound 3, almost a pound and a half. With our propellers, we're about a pound and a half. So we've got a little bit of weight. We don't have everything done. This plane will probably weigh approximately, a pound and 3/4 by the time we get it all monocoated and put together. But we've got twin motors, 750 thrust apiece, so we've got plenty of power to push this plane. So it'll be a good flyer and it'll be fast. Now what we've got this pretty much done. I basically just glued both sides and flipped it over. Took our heat gun and just iron out the bubbles that you may have. Don't put a lot of pressure on it. It doesn't really matter. There might be a little bit of bubbles in there, but they'll kind of work their way out. But as you can see, there are a couple little tiny bubbles, barely can see them. But the edges are nice and smooth, and we're going to go ahead and cut that just with your razor blade. You're just going to cut them off, and then we'll just kind of seam them up with the heat gun or the iron. We'll just take your iron and go over the edges and just smooth them all out. Go all the way around the whole thing, and when we get done, we'll be ready to mount. Okay, what we've done is we've wrapped everything. Hopefully you can see that. We just went around the edges, trimmed it up, folded it over. We basically put hinge tape on this side, and we're going to go ahead and we cut it with the exacto knife on the other side because it wrapped this way. So this is still one piece. These two are seamed. Probably can't see it from there, but we're just going to take another piece right across here. I always like to do that because that just gives us that extra reinforcement that we need. And just enough to hang over the edge, just a little bit. And then after we trim that, we'll go right over the edge, fold it down, and we'll be good to go. Now we're going to mount it on the plane. Looks like now we've got our flaps done. So our next step, now that we've got these all done, you can kind of see they come up pretty nice. There's not any wrinkles in them or bubbles. So basically we need to get the rest of it wrapped. So we'll go ahead and start doing that. We're going to do the top in yellow and the bottom in green. Reason I do that, I keep all my planes kind of the same. A little bit of yellow on top, and green on the bottom. So anyway, we'll go ahead and get started on that now.